Welcome to Shruti Out Loud. Hello everyone, welcome back to Shruti Out Loud podcast. We are back with another guest, with another story, with another set of motivation to keep you people going, to keep you people from doing things that you want to do, from doing things that you ought to do, and from doing things that you're stopping yourself from doing. So today we have a very special guest. Her name is Snehal Malpani, and she will be talking about some topics that we haven't touched yet on this podcast. So without further delay, let's bring her on board and let's get to know her. Let's get to know her journey. Let's get to know her story and a lot more. So let's welcome Snehal.
Hi,
Hi,
Shruti,
Snehal.
and hello, all the listeners here.
Welcome to Shruti Out Loud podcast, Snehal, first of all. And I would like to thank you for agreeing to be a part of this. And we are looking forward to everything that you are going to share with our listeners, with our audience, and considering the fact that, this is going to stay online for as long as they let it stay. And I think, yeah, it's going to stay forever, as much as I know. So keeping that in mind, I am very thankful to you for agreeing to be a part of Shruti Out Loud podcast. And yes.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Shruti. And I'm so delighted to be here on your podcast today. Let me just tell you that you're doing an amazing job. So, let me first congratulate you on the success of the good site. So, for all my listeners here, my name is Snehal Malpani and I am from Nagpur, that's in central India, for probably most of them who do not know because it's not a very renowned place. I'm from Nagpur. Professionally and by passion, to add, I am a relationship strategist, a leadership coach, and an internationally certified NLP trainer from AB NLP. Now, nurturing your generation to be better and making them realize to live up to their best and fullest potential is something that I keep working on constantly. And it's been over 13 years that I've been a part of training and development industry, have touched over 15,000 plus lives so far. And I also honor serving influential organizations like Reliance Foundation, EduBridge, Tata Capital, Tata Strive, and other corporates. Majorly, I'm very happy about serving the National Skill Development Corporation uh, campaign that the government had run to upskill the underprivileged people and helping them get placed. So a few years ago, after working for so long, I just decided to share my own values through a platform, and that made me also found my organization, Skills Panacea Learning Solutions Private Limited. So, just to cut a long story short, I'm just another individual who wants to make the most of this precious life, and I want to help everybody do that by just being the best version of themselves. That's about me.
Thank you for giving that amazing introduction, Snehal. And now, moving ahead, what I would like to ask you first, my first question to you would be I read in your bio when I was researching and, trying to find the right questions to ask you, I came across this line. So I would really want to dig deep into it and know more views about you on the same. So the line said, Vichar, Uchar, Vyavhar. So that means thoughts, words, and actions. So, what I want to ask you here is how do you balance all three of these in your life?
Okay. So, I mean, I don't really find anything strange in that because I think that's a default setting that is there with all humans. Just imagine, I mean, you think A thing, you speak B thing, and you do C thing. Don't you think that's complicated? And I think that is all what we humans keep doing. And I feel the balance is required there. But if you think something, you say the same thing, and you act in the same way. I think that is something that makes life very, very simple. There's nothing complicated about it. So the balance is already maintained. The universe has created that balance already. It's a default setting. I think we as humans, due to our own selfish attitude, probably, we simply try and manipulate things in our life. And I think that's what makes our lives more complicated. So I don't think to balance these three things is a challenge, but people, in fact, invest all their energies and minds in manipulating things and creating the imbalance. So I think doing and speaking what you think within is the simplest thing to do and the simplest thing to continue. And I think that's how it should be.
I'm so sorry, my mic was on mute. So, absolutely, I totally agree with you on the same. But what I think is that nowadays, although people know these things, but somehow because they are so busy in their own lives that they are majorly working on an automated cycle. This, and they don't really think about these things. So, I would like to know that how do you what do you suggest that people can do to keep reminding themselves of these three things? What are maybe some little basics or some little tips that people can follow to keep these in mind?
Right. Right. I understand what you're asking. So even when people know this, they're not able to keep maintaining that, and that's the reason they're facing this imbalance and experiencing it in their lives. So I think the simple thing is to begin with exploring your own self, who you are, what you like, what you want, your needs, your desires, everything. And once you have that, just be your own self, be original, be authentic. So anybody and everybody who I meet, I just ask them, okay, what do you want? How do you want me to help? And everybody, will have these scripted textbook goals with them. I say, come on, that's not my answer. I'm asking you, what is that you want? I don't want to know what others want. So when, say, for example, when students come to me, they tell me that please help me with, choosing a right career. I was like, what are your interests? So the answers would be, oh, my parents want me to become a doctor. My parents want me to become a CA. I'm like, forget all of that. My question is, what is that you want? What is that you like? So the key to keeping everything simple is your own originality and authenticity. Just say what you feel, just do what you think is right, and take ownership of that. So I think step number one is exploring your own self, knowing your own self. Number two would be being original, being authentic. And the third and most important thing is trying to do it the right way, the appropriate way. So I think that is what something would balance everything.
Absolutely. Thank you for answering that. And I think that is going to help people quite a lot to sort of, bring them back to focus because as I said, that people keep losing that, people keep forgetting that. But the steps that you have mentioned, I am pretty sure that they are going to help people to refocus
And
and
right, and taking ownership of everything that's happening around you is very, very important. So, if something is not happening in my favor, I might just keep blaming the environment, maybe, my family member, my friends, my professional colleagues. So, but I don't think that's how it is. I think we all should and need to carry that ownership, to take that accountability and own our own decisions and actions instead of just keeping to blaming someone for something, because eventually reacting, responding and acting is in our own hands. So why not take the ownership? So I think that's very, very critical.
absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree with you on this. All right, so moving on to our next question, I would like to ask you about your journey as a CEO and the founder of your brand. So, could you tell our listeners, our audience, a bit more about what is all that about and how did that start and where is it going?
Sure. So my story. Let me tell you, I am from a small town, having studied in vernacular medium throughout my graduation as well. And excuse me. And when I stepped out in the professional world, so I was bullied because I didn't know how to dress, I didn't know how to speak, I didn't know how to, you know, maybe just present myself the way people from urban areas did. And I was bullied, and I think my entire self-esteem and confidence was shattered. And I think that was the day I realized that no, I need to work on myself. And I started working on my own self. I tried to be the best version of myself. I attended a lot of workshops, right from mindset change to personality change to communication and everything. And I think that created a new version of me, which I think is now in front of you all. And I realized that now that I have learned it the hardest way, why should I not help people learn it in advance in a relatively easier way? Because going through the bully that happens and one experiences, not everybody can cope up with the, from the shattered confidence and self-esteem. So I was lucky. I was grateful to people around me who helped me overcome all of that. And with this mindset, uh, I decided to start off with my own venture, with my own baby, which is Skills Panacea. So, to tell you more about Skills Panacea, it revolves around skills. The name itself suggests that. Panacea is a remedy that cures, in Greek, it cures all the diseases or any problems. So it's a remedy and it's a solution for everything. So we at Skills Panacea are a one-stop solution for every skill that one wants to acquire, be it from communication, be it from presentation skills, be it from professional skills, be it etiquette, right from being a good partner or maybe even a good parent or a good teenager or maybe a better version of, his or her own self. So that was the whole idea about starting this organization, and it's been 2 years. We've been successfully able to transform lives of thousands of people so far, right from students, university students, to school students, to their faculties, or even freshers in an organization, to leadership team, or even we are into dealing with C-suite people, helping them overcome the barriers that probably they can't even talk to. I mean, just imagine a CEO can't go to anybody, and just say that, oh my God, you know what, I am facing this problem. This is my weakness. I want you to help me. Because if it does that, the brand value would come down. I mean, so for them, it's a very, very confidential thing. But yes, and we're glad to having connected with a lot of people on that platform as well, and helping them coming up with better decisions for themselves in their, of course, professional environment, at the same time in the personal space. So that's what we've been doing.
Wow. First of all, Snehal, I would like to thank you for sharing that personal story of how you um, faced something yourself, which in sort of, it inspired you to take it ahead and help people not to be in that place again. So thank you. And I think these are the kind of things that I love when people come here on this podcast and share their stories, because these are the things that people really learn from. Like, you can give them a curriculum, you can give them modules, but I think people learn a lot from real stories. So thank you for sharing that. Also, here, I first of all, I would like to ask you this question: that so how many years would you say that this entire thing took, where you realized first of all that, okay, this is something that has been happening and this is something that I need to overcome, and then you put yourself in that situation where you learned and basically changed yourself, and then you started off with this, the company, the brand that you have started.
Right. So I think for me, evolving was a process that I started experiencing at a very, very early stage. To be honest, when I was in school, I realize it now, which I did not realize then, that I was going through body shaming. So I remember people commenting on my size, physiology, my weight, and which I got to know now. But because back then I only used to cry and go and tell my mom that, I'm not going to eat anything because I'm just gaining weight and everybody just keeps teasing me. Nobody talks to me. And it started off back then. And so I think the motivation that I got from my mother was, she reframing is a concept is neuro-linguistic programming. So back then, because now I have studied NLP, I can relate to what all has happened with me. And she said that, you know what, you're not fat, you're not moti, you're just a little cute chubbly bubbly girl, and you see everybody likes you, and hence everybody comes, they call you cute, so just enjoy this. And I was like, so she had just reframed this entire, you know concept of fat and moti to me, which I started loving, and then I started, uh, cherishing what I was and what I was experiencing. But at the same time, yes, I realized that after I got into my college, it was my first year where I had experienced these bullying for the first time, because being from this small town, of course, there's a huge gap between in the dressing sense, from people from the rural areas and people from urban areas. So in my college, I had, students from Delhi and, Jamshedpur, who were preparing for IITs and, I don't know what not, entrance exams from schools like DPS and these, places. And all management quota people. And I was someone who couldn't even give my introduction confidently in front of them. So my first challenge was, number one, how do I speak? Number two, how do I speak in public? And number three, how do I speak in front of these people? I mean, I stand nowhere. What are they going to think about me? And yes, as I told you, I was experiencing bullying. So I decided that, okay, let's get friends to some people. Let's learn. Let's start modeling them what I like about other people. Now that's again a concept in NLP which I learned later, which I started implementing earlier. So I started observing people. I gathered, I made a list of good things that I like in them, about the way they communicate, about the way they speak, about the way they dress, and yeah, Bollywood was always my inspiration. So following them, how they give interviews, maybe how they speak, how they create rapport, how they build rapport, all of this I observed, and I started incorporating one thing at a time within me. And so since then, I think there was always an evolution that happened in me as Snehal. And so initially, then I got into training in, say, a couple of years. I think it was back in 2006 and 7. Yes. So I was doing pretty well. I was presentable. I could speak with people. And then I decided to start helping people from, these villages to, with basic hygiene, with basic spoken English and how to dress and stuff. So it started from there. And then the next level was training students from cities, preparing them for interviews. Did those for a couple of years and then stepped into corporates. So once the external appearance was done and communication and body language was done, I realized that that's just, the makeup that one wears and which can be removed easily. So I began my research in understanding what could be permanent. And then I got introduced to neuro-linguistic programming and, the Dale Carnegie TTT and stuff. And I think this was back in 2012 and 13. And I studied more on human behaviors. I studied mindsets and mindset shifts and the processes that, is involved in this. And I became more confident about things because by then I think I had learned what it takes to bring that change, because change does not happen from outside, it happens internally. And that was the little secret that I learned from all my mentors. And I started applying all of it one by one at a time in my life. And I think that helped me reach here today. So in 2017, I think by then I had experience with major corporates and educational institutions. I had started and established myself as a trainer with most of the training consultancies. And yeah, everybody was happy, and I kept evolving. So finally, in 2019, I decided that let's start something of our own, and with the idea, which is just not about earning money, but bringing about change. So I started off with this, and God's grace, we've been doing well. And yeah, I think even now I'm evolving, and I'll keep evolving with every coming day. So that's the attitude. So if you ask me in total, I think it's more than 20 years that probably I have started working on my own self, and which has helped me be what I am today. So yeah, I think that's about it.
Wow, Snehal, that is a wonderful journey, I have to tell you. And the way you elaborated it, the way you explained it, it's amazing. Absolutely. I have to give you that. And the way you said that, this is what happened. And then the way you worked on yourself and you shared all your inspirations and how you made a list, I think that's absolutely beautiful. So thanks for sharing that. So, also moving on to the next question, you have also authored a book. So, could you tell us a bit about that?
Right. So, I never thought I would write a book, to be honest. Uh, so I had this habit of just making notes of whatever I feel, and whatever I see, and I have my own opinions and views about it that I used to note it, not in one diary, but it always used to be scattered. Even now, if you come to my office or my place, you would always see diaries scattered here and there, and even I don't know what's written in where. So I had this habit of okay. Am I audible now? Okay. So I've been observing my mother, all the women I encountered with, their struggles, having born and raised in a Marwadi family, though a liberal one, but still we do have relatives, have their who have their own traditional ways of carrying things out. So few examples. One of my bhabis, who's a doctor, she did not work for around 6 to 7 years after her marriage. She had to give up on her career. I mean, that was a big, big thing for me. And I just kept asking, why is she not working? She's a damn doctor. She's not just working in any place, on a little designation. And I saw my mother. My mother had been working always, but I used to see two sides of her: when she was home, when she was the authority in our home and at her workplace, and on the other hand, when she was, I don't know, I think back then I used to feel that she's nothing more than a servant. But today, of course, I don't feel, because I think that was how the culture was in every family. But it left me wondering that who is she then? Because I see both her sides, but who is she really? And when even I got married at an early age, and I got to experience different phases and different cultures in the same family, and it left me unanswered as to who, as any woman, for any woman, who as a woman is she? Who as a woman am I? And who am I as an individual? What is that I like? Because I've always seen women saying that, okay, this has to be done. ये तो करना ही पड़ता है. ऐसा ही करना पड़ता है. So I didn't conceive for 10 years after my marriage because I was facing some challenges. And so I was disturbed. Then with all those courses, I started helping my own self. And finally, I had decided to continue with my career, for which even, openly and behind me, I was probably criticized, yes, saying that, oh, she's just into career, she doesn't understand what, a real or true responsibility of a woman is. And but fortunately, I when I conceived, I was on total bed rest, and these 9 months when I was on total bed rest, I had nothing but to probably just work on myself and understand my own self, and collectively gather all thoughts and understand the web that is being created. So my I think the objective was just sorting things out and understanding every bit of it. And that's when I started writing point by point that, okay, this is the challenge that need to be addressed. Why does a woman act in this way? How should she instead start working, and what will take her out? So in the entire period of these 12 years, 10 to 12 years, whosoever women I came across, I started analyzing her life and her story. And there was only one crux that I got, that everybody had a magic inside her, but it was just external factors primarily that she blamed. But it was her choice that she made, that she wanted to be submissive to all this negative environment. And I strongly wanted to make them realize, ladies, it's just you. You're just finding an excuse that इनको नहीं चलता है, उनको नहीं चलता है, फैमिली में नहीं चलता है, ऐसे नहीं कर सकते हैं. So I just wanted to tell every woman that if you are stressed, if you are under any pressure, if you're not being yourself, just ask yourself in the beginning who you are and what you want. And then, of course, that remains your choice if you want to proceed in that way or no. But my objective was just to make every woman aware of the potential that she has, and how she can probably, fly high with her wings. So I think that was my objective. And this book is a fiction, which is actually a non-fiction thing converted into a fiction. It talks about different stories from lives of different women, and how, when they decided to overcome their challenges, made it big. So it's all about just unleashing the hidden potential as a woman, which starts from knowing her own self, making the right choice, and keeping to move in the direction that she has set for herself, and what all challenges she could go through and how she could overcome that. And the crux is just one, that the magic is within you. It's just the choice that you probably do not make. I think that's all about my book. Sorry, I am not sure if I'm taking too much of your time, but this is something which is actually very, very close to my heart. And I get very, very, into it when I start talking about it.
I am so glad that you shared the way, sort of, how it came up, the story behind what you have written. So no worries about the timing and all. It's all about being in the flow and just letting whatever is coming to you, just let it out. That's the whole idea. That this is not a scripted show. It's just about two people talking and sharing stories and letting people know that anybody can follow their dreams. Anybody can just do whatever they want to if they just listen to their heart
Right. Let me just show
and
you the
know
book.
who they are. Yeah.
This is the
Oh,
book.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Hold on.
And yeah. So,
I would love to get my hands on this one and read it.
I'll send a gift. I'll send one for you, of course. And by the end of this book, in the end, I also have my point of view on different questions that are normally asked to me. There's a set of questions, and then there is this mindset story that I have, which is the epilogue. That was my present, as I've told you that, yeah, when I was facing this gynec issues, what was all that I was going through? Because most of the women just give it up when things don't work in their favor, especially in this aspect, and it just breaks them. But trust me, things happened to me when I stopped thinking about it and gave myself that value. When I started giving myself some time, when I made some good decisions for me, when I focused on my career, even the this thing happened. And today I'm blessed with a 3-year-old son. And yeah, everything just happens. You need to start valuing yourself, and then the universe values you.
Completely. Completely. I totally agree with you on this. And I love the energy that, you are giving and radiating. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Because, there sometimes what happens is that people, when they are talking about something, it's just the words that are really coming out. But you don't feel the passion and, that energy, that vibe. But in you, I can absolutely feel that, that the words that are coming out of your mouth, that's exactly how you are feeling.
So remember, I said authenticity. So what you think is what you speak, and that's what radiates. So,
Absolutely,
and that's the
absolutely,
simplest thing to do. So let's speak
absolutely.
what
And
you
I can
feel.
see
Not
that
just yeah.
completely. And yes, I would love to read the book that you have written, and I'll get in touch with you, and I will get a hold of that.
Yes. So you're getting a hold on from me.
Oh yes,
Thank
for sure. All right, so Snehal, moving on to the topics that I really wanted to touch with you. Let's start off with that. So the first thing that so the first thing that I do want to talk about is personal branding. So how do you define it, and what do people really need to know about it?
you. Right. I think one of the very common definitions about personal branding is just about creating presence everywhere, creating presence on social media, creating presence in the digital media, creating presence in print media. So, uh, personal branding for everyone is just about maximum people knowing them. Uh, for me, yes, of course, it is a part of personal branding, but in addition to this common definition, it's about knowing yourself first, uh, having a vision of how do you want people to see you, how do you want people to address you, and accordingly making those changes in your own personality. Now, the different elements of these personality could be, of course, number one, your appearance. Number two, how you carry yourself, your entire body language, your physiology. Number three, how you speak, what you speak, and your vocabulary, your style of communication. And number four, which is very, very important, is what is the vibe that people feel when they are around you. I think that is personal branding to me, which is permanent. Because if we keep doing on the superficial branding, like social media presence only, or say the print media only, or just some ad campaigns or stuff, people will of course get attracted towards it. People might start knowing you, but there are very few chances that they remember you. People would always remember you with the vibes that you have radiated when they were around you. So that for me is personal branding. So building your own self before that, just knowing how you want to build yourself. So know that and start working on that in different elements of your life. And this branding, personal branding, is people look at it only and only as a commercial aspect or as a professional aspect. For me, it's more of a personal aspect. So I meet you maybe once in a year or once in 10 years, and I create a lasting impression on you. That, of course, is personal branding. But a person who I stay with 24 by 7, and if he does not respect me or admires me, then that personal branding for me goes waste. So, cutting long story short, personal branding is all about identifying who you want to be and working on different elements of your personality to be there. Shruti, are you there? Shruti? I think Shruti has lost connection. Shruti, are you there?
Hi, I am so sorry. I had some Wi-Fi issues and I could see you, but I could not see myself, so I had to reconnect again.
I thought maybe I'm speaking so much that she's probably not able to listen to me anymore.
No, no, I had to quickly, shut it off and restart it all over again. So I'm so sorry about that. And so we heard what you said about personal branding. So, um, is there, as I mentioned in my question, that is there anything that you want to sort of tell people, that something that people should know about personal branding, something that they can do about it, something l- maybe something very tiny that they can realize, okay, this is something that I am doing wrong when it comes to my personal branding,
So one
like how
needs
to
to
recognize that.
right. So it's very important to understand that personal branding is all about establishing that authority as an expert, maybe establishing that trust in people so that they can come and trust you. Uh, and all of it depends on the content that you share, how you share your voice, and how your thoughts stand out different from others. And all of it, as I've said, it starts from your mindset. Everything is just the mindset is the key. So mindset plays a very, very important role. So it creates opportunities for you. So you need to present yourself in a way. You need to keep working towards yourself in a way that it creates a lot of opportunities for you. And it's just all about doing everything by yourself and for yourself to begin with, because only then you'll be able to do things for others. So personal branding is also establishing your presence across the region wherever you want to create your presence, be it online, be it with an offline presence, just being a part of the society where wherever you go, whenever you go, you adding some value to you know people around you, or maybe the environment around you. So it's personal branding, in short, revolves around just establishing and creating and inspiring that trust factor uh, on you, within you, from you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, connected to this, the topics that I picked for today's conversation were image building, image enhancement, and personal branding. So, we have already talked about personal branding. Could you tell us how it is related with image building and image enhancement? Like, what is the connection between all three that people should know?
Right. So, image building is how you want to present yourself, how you want to create your presence within the society, in your personal connections, in your professional circle. So, that's building your own image, right? And to build that image, you need to keep working on your own self, and that's image enhancement. So, because you need to keep upgrading yourself every day, every minute, every second, right? And so that process is called as image enhancement, and the outcome is that you build your image, right? So you work on every factor of your personality. As I've been saying in most of my answers, that there are these major elements that you need to focus on. Number one is your appearance, number two is your voice, your knowledge that you share, number three is how you behave, how you carry yourself, your physiology. And all of this is inspired by how you think, what values you have, what beliefs you have, and what is your strategy to inspire people. I know a lot of people who are amazing. You sit for like 5 minutes in their workshop and you have goosebumps all across your body. And they're so inspiring. You feel like, oh my God, I don't even want to wait here, because that will be, a loss of opportunity of starting to work on my own self. And immediately I have to start working on myself. I think there's such amazing speakers. There some people who are very low on energy, you'll find them very calm, very subtle, but they would just speak and you would feel, oh my God, this is the truth of the universe. Why didn't I know it before? There could be some people who have their own stories, who need not tell their stories to people, because they have, created that image of themselves, that people are really looking for what they have done and how they have reached here, how they managed to be here. So it's just all about that. So just focusing on these elements is, I think, how you can create that image. And very important on the personal front. So you have to be polite, you have to be assertive when communicating. It's just not about just speaking with energy, speaking, very, very jazzy, flashy language. No, it's important for you to be empathetic. It's important for you to put your point across assertively. You may not like something, but there's a way to tell people that you've not liked this. You can't just keep, just go at them and tell them, hey, you know what, I am a very direct person and this is what I did not like, so I want to tell this to you. No, you can't just do that. So be empathetic, be assertive, and use right words. And all of this will come when you start thinking in that way, start feeling. Empathy cannot come unless you feel empathetic towards other person. So yeah, I think that's how it is. These are the major skills. And in a professional environment, every action, every behavior of you counts. So the way you're walking, the way you're sitting, the way you're dressed, the colors that you're wearing, everything has a message. So keeping in mind every bit of it, and then working on the gaps that you really have, is the entire process of image enhancement, which will help you eventually build the image that you have visualized for your own self.
Absolutely. So here I am curious to know about one thing. So when we talk about image building and image enhancement, there are two aspects. One is in the personal life and one is in the professional life. So have you come across maybe some people who have had a difficulty in sort of maintaining that balance, that maybe they are excelling in their professional image, but when you talk about their personal image, it's something absolutely opposite, and they have to work really hard on that front. So Is there any example that you could share with us, or anything relevant that might help people to understand that, okay, this is also one of the things that you have to consider and take care of?
Right. So you need to understand that we as individuals, we have our defined personalities already, uh, and which is there, which is inherent, which is within us. Now we choose to showcase one side of us, maybe in a professional circle, and the other side in the personal life. Um, I I know. I mean, it's really sad, but I would really like to share this with you because this happens with a lot of working women. Recently, had a couple coming to me for counseling, and the challenge was that the lady, she was a working woman, and she said that probably I am not keen and interested in taking responsibility of the domestic chores, and I don't like doing that. uh, and the husband expected that while you are also a working woman, taking care of domestic chores is also your responsibility because that's a part of life. I mean, we not just want to, be in corporates. We want to be in this world, and this world comprises of different settings in which we have to, dwell. So, and this was the reason for the conflict between them, and the couple was also ready to part their ways because things were not happening. So there are two ways of looking at it. Number one, uh, let's respect each other's choices. Maybe someone is not raised in an environment where it had been mandatory for the lady to, take care of the domestic chores, and probably it's a matter of choice for her. So let that be, unless uh, you have no option but, for her to do. If you have options, if you can really afford a health for yourself, so why not? I mean, if there's a solution to it, work around it, because probably that's not her choice, right? The other way of looking at it could be, we're humans and we're alive, so flexibility is something that we have to have. So, how about being flexible? So, if say my partner feels like, because I know how to cook, and if my partner feels that probably I should cook for him someday, sometime, then why not I taking efforts and stretching myself for some extra time in the kitchen and maybe preparing something for him to be as little as a sandwich or a Maggie. So that's a flexibility, but again, that's a choice. So two things important as a human: let's be flexible, because that will make things easier for us to balance in our lives. And the other thing is, let's accept people the way they are. Understand if they're not doing something, then understand that probably that's not their choice. If uh, they are doing something and they want it to be done, then probably understand that it's important for them. And you, as the other person, you as a companion, uh, show some flexibility, show some acceptance, and try and be a part of it. If you're not able to make it, that's fine, but uh, yeah, efforts count, and not the results of if you've been able to do it efficiently. Because I remember this thing when even I was, in my school, and so I used to. I mean, I was always a bright student, not really bragging about it, but yeah, I scored good marks always. So, अगर 3-4 marks या percentage भी कम आ जाते थे, तो my father used to be ठीक है. I mean, he was never happy because he said कि ठीक है, you score because probably you have that, learning. You're a quick learner, and hence probably, you're scoring well, but I'm really not happy with the efforts that you take. So yeah, so that is another example that even if you do good, and if you're doing everything, still it may not be counted, because probably for one, what values is the efforts that one make and not the results. So this is also one of the ways of looking at it towards it.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. And you shared a wonderful example to sort of tell people how to strike a balance between the two. So, moving on to my next question, again, it's an example based question. So, have you come across people who are sometimes maybe, unaware of some aspects of their life, which is impacting their personal branding, their personal, the image in a negative way, but they are not even aware of it because they think that, oh no, that's fine, that's how it is. There's nothing wrong with that. So, how much effort does it take on your part to sort of make them realize, okay, no, you know what, this is something that is an issue and it is impacting you in this way. So, could you give us an example of that?
Uh, right. So there are a lot of examples. Uh, let us talk about the example that's around me. So in my team, I have different people, right? So they handle different tasks at my workspace. I know there are few people who are really pushing hard to do something to get the task done. They're not able to do it. They're not able to fulfill that task, not complete that task. But I see that yes, they're pushing themselves really hard, and I appreciate those efforts. There are also some people uh, who manage to complete their task, but I see that you know uh, probably they're not really pushing themselves hard. Etiquette and mannerisms play a very very important role. When I do corporate trainings, there are a lot of team managers who come to me and say that the work gets done, but they are uh, influencing the other members of the team to be very casual about their work. I said, why? What happened? What do they do? So they say that because they're very good at coding and stuff, they use earphones, they keep listening to music, and then they work. Probably they're able to manage it well, but it's influencing other people who are not that good at work when probably listening to music or when chit chatting on phone or using WhatsApp. And they're like, okay. So when I was consulting this organization for forming policies and to work on their appraisal part, when we were focusing on the behavioral aspect of every employee, I said, let your behavioral skills be a major part of the KPIs, wherein if someone is not adhering to the policies, score them good so that they're not able to apply for the promotions or IJPs, internal job promotions. And it was so well accepted by the organization. And since then, it said that yes, behavioral skills are very, very important. It's not just the technical skills that we're looking for. And probably yeah, this is how it could have, I guess, that it could have affected that technical person who was really doing well. But if you look at this entire situation, this incident did affect his or her chances of getting promoted. Why? Because this has now affected his entire image. So this was just a small example of uh, how we create image and what is the image that we create and how it gets hampered or affected. So this was in a small setup, but if we look otherwise, we'll always have people who come and talk about big things, but they don't really walk the talk. So, walk the talk is very, very important when you're really trying to create an image of yours, when you're creating a brand of yours, because that's how people start looking at you, that's how people start perceiving you. Now, there may be a hidden kid within you, and that's what happens with a lot of people, right? So, when I'm with my family, so they'll always keep telling me that. अरे तुम्हारे जितने भी लोग हैं उनको पता होगा क्या कि ये कितनी मस्ती करती है, ये पिक्चर दिखाओ सबको तो पता चलेगा. So so because I think probably there's a hidden kid within me, but I should take that out in my personal space and not in the public place or in the social space, right? So people who I'm comfortable with, people who I trust, people who I believe in, I think that is a very, very important part of brand management, and this is how it keeps affecting you. So if I, speak about, or if I talk about how you should speak and how assertively I should speak, or how positively I should give a feedback to someone, and if I'm just calling my team member and telling the team member, hey, you don't do this right, you don't do this, you always do things, not which are not up to the mark. So I think that's affecting my brand image, right? And brand image is not just affected when there are 10 people looking at you, because I think it comes from within you. So you need to make it your habit, and you have to actually, engrave it in your personality, engrave into your, cells and bloodstreams, that yes, this is the way, because this is what I preach. So this is the way to be, and just get it within you is what I feel. This is how it affects.
Absolutely. That was a brilliant example that you gave about the behavior part, and I think I was hooked completely to that example. And yes, that made me realize that yes, sometimes you have the image that you create for yourself, the personal image and the professional image. That because sometimes what people say is that be the same person everywhere, but that's not how it is. With situations, with you do change, your reactions change, your uh yeah, that's how it is, and you need to realize that that's how it is.
Yes, and if you look at people these days, real life versus real life is actually something that has mentally exhausted a lot of people. Just because,
Absolutely.
yeah, I am not unhappy because I could not get time to spend with my partner this weekend, right? But I'm unhappy because just because I could not spend time with my partner this weekend, I do not have pictures to post on my social media. That
Yeah.
exhausts me, that troubles me. So I
Right.
think we are somewhere getting carried away towards, just in the name of building that personal image, we are getting dragged towards living a superficial life, I believe. And that's how it's affecting
Totally.
everybody's life, which is not clearly visible, which not everybody is realizing at the moment, but something that really needs to be addressed and taken care of.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you on this. All right, so Snehal, could you tell us a bit about the workshops, the courses, who is it for, and is it just for the corporates or is it for individuals as well? So, could you tell our audience a bit about that part so that whoever wants to get in touch with you, they know how to?
Right, absolutely. So, we have divided our workshops and support into six major areas. Number one is neuro-linguistic programming, because personally it has changed my life. I strongly recommend it to everyone, and it's not just for counselors and therapists, but it's also for every individual who wants to be his or her own healer. So anybody can enroll for that courses, but yes, for counselors and HRs, human resources, to understand, who are in a role to understand human behaviors in depth, should definitely do that course. So that's neuro linguistic programming. The second area is image management, which does not only focus on power dressing, but also how you speak, what you speak, your body language, the etiquette, email etiquette, telephone etiquette, travel etiquette. Because even when you go and buy vegetables for your own self, or even when you're at a grocery store, you're creating your image in front of people around you and the owner of the departmental store or maybe a vegetable stall. So image management is something which is a very, very objective driven and result oriented workshop that we do. Then we conduct workshops for students and faculties and teachers for any educational institution, because youth are, of course, the future, and they need to be very, very competitive these days. And competitiveness, again, is not just about presentation and stuff, but it's all about creating that impact in the digital world as well as when you meet someone in person. So preparing them for the corporates is something that we focus on. For corporates, right from the freshers or new entrants inductions to leadership trainings and C-suite coaching that I've told you, that is also one area that we do. And for anyone else, you may not be working, you may be housewife, you may be idle sitting home, but you still want to feel happy, feel good, you want to learn a new skill like public speaking, presentation, you want to be a trainer, you want to be a better counselor. You just, so people are just teasing you. I think you might have realized this, in people from north or south or maybe from any other state, you'll find MTI in their speech. And if people from south come to north, or maybe north to south, vice versa, they're literally teased and made fun of about their MTI and accent. So that's also one area that we cover. So we've identified challenges that everybody could, any individual might face, and we have a solution for that. And that's why we call ourselves the skills Panacea, because we have a solution, we have a remedy to any lack of skill that you're experiencing. So, and it's for everyone, anybody who's in need. And we conduct workshops in different ways. We have group workshops, a bigger batch for 35 to 40 people. We have smaller group batches for 8 to 10 people. Excuse me. And we also do one-to-one coaching, which is a more focused and objective driven thing that we do.
Absolutely. So, as you mentioned, that you have something for everyone. So, whosoever needs any direction, or I think you are the people they should get in touch with. So, coming to that, how can they get in touch with you?
Okay. So you can visit our website www.snehalmalpani.com and www.skillspansia.com. And on these websites, we have our address and numbers mentioned, or just get in touch with us with the link that we have on our LinkedIn profile, or just drop us a message and we'll get back.
Right, absolutely. Wow, Snehal, thank you so much for taking out time for this conversation. And I got to learn so much. And as I say on every episode, really, the guests who come on Shruti Out Loud podcast, they end up teaching me so much. And I am just glad that, putting this conversation out there, I can imagine that there are a lot of people who might be like me, who will actually end up learning or getting motivated to know things, to learn things, and to move on in their life to a place where they're actually happy.
And I'm glad, Shruti, that people from your generation, because if I go 10 years back, we didn't even understand what personal branding is, and we were not even aware of spreading word about self-help things. So I'm so glad that your generation is so aware about these things, that they themselves are making efforts in upgrading themselves and helping others upgrade in their own lives. So in fact, let me thank you for actually coming up with such an initiative and having me here on your show. So keep up the good work, wish you all the very best, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for sharing all those stories also. I loved them completely. And as I said, that a lot of people get inspired from stories. So from your stories, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will get inspired. Thank you so much and have a great day.
You too, Shruti. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye. So, guys, that was Snehal, and I would like to say that this session was absolutely full of so much learning, as she had mentioned initially. And I'm pretty sure that everybody who's seeing this, everybody who will see this, everybody who will listen to this, will get to add some new thing in their lives. And if you need Snehal's help, you know how to get in touch with her and make your life a bit better. So every day is a step towards becoming closer to who you really want to be. So let's take that step together. Let's keep moving on in life. Let's keep moving on in our lives. let's keep motivating people, because what would you do? Just why would you just want to be the single solo person who's just moving ahead? Let's take everybody along and move towards a better future. So thank you so much for watching this. Thank you so much for listening to this, and I'll be back with another guest, with another story, with another set of motivation. Till then, have a great time, have a great weekend, and I'll see you very soon.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe.